Hi guys, and welcome to Forge Right. Thanks for dropping in. In this episode, which is part 5 of my coal forge build, I will be putting together the air intake mechanism for my fire pot and also cutting out the metal for the forge hood, putting it all together, hopefully putting the flue onto that. Now, before I get into all of that, I'm going to have a bit of an odd start to this video where I do a bit of a product review. I'll need to put it into some context. So as most video makers on YouTube know, videos take up a lot of space on your computer and you end up clogging up your computer with lots and lots of different video files, and eventually you're going to run out of room. So with that in mind, I thought I would purchase a second external hard drive. I should say a second external storage disk. So I went online and had a look around. There's some very expensive ones, some medium priced ones, and some very, very cheap ones. As usual, I won't go the extremely cheap stuff, and the top of the line stuff is usually overpriced, so I started to go middle of the road. I found a device which I shall bring the camera down and show you. The reason I'm doing this review is because I want other people to be aware of products that will disappoint. Okay, after waiting a couple of weeks, probably more like about 12 days for my item to arrive, I've already unpacked it. I generally don't do unboxing videos, so I just got it out, started trying to use it to as I would normally do with any product that I buy. But given the result of this purchase, I thought I would do a bit of a video on it. So here we go. This is what it is. It comes in this little purse-like vinyl bag, which is all very pretty. Pull it out and you get this bit of paper here, which I shall hold up to the camera so you can get a bit of an idea what I'm looking at here. And then some information on the back. It's a very expensive one sheet piece of glossy paper, which proceeds to tell you what you need to know before buying, which means it just goes on about what operating system you should have, what it won't run on, what it will run on. When you flip it over, it says before using this hard disk, you need to format. It tells you what type of formatting you need to do. So it says it needs to be exFAT format, so EXFAT format. You can't do any other way, which is fine because I run Windows 10. On the front here, it tells you that you need to have either Windows or an XP operating system, which of course I have. I've got Windows 10. So yeah, just some basic information of how to format and what format you should be doing. So that's not much to that. And here is the device. So I know the light is really bad and it's a shiny object, but pretty much just a run-of-the-mill rectangular external storage device with a USB 3 plug, so USB 3 into your computer and one of those classic external hard drive fittings on the end, a little flashy LED light. That's all there is to it. So that's the device. Okay, so the situation being, I got this device, I did everything it says on the instructions. I made sure I was using the right operating system. One of the things I didn't mention there is that it also says don't have multiple devices plugged into your computer when you're running it. So I made sure every other device was unplugged, plugged it into the system. It was recognized instantly. I then right-clicked, formatted the device in the exFAT format. That went perfectly, took a matter of seconds. Yes, your device has been formatted. I checked the device. Yes, I turned off the computer, turned on the computer. Yes, it was fully recognized. So what do? I decide, okay, these videos are taking up way too much room on my computer. I'll transfer them over onto the hard drive. Selected all of the items that I wanted to transfer over and hit transfer. It all started doing it quite happily. A lot of files, so it took a little while to transfer, but as it got to about 75% through, an error came up. Said there has been a, what does it say? There has been a internal hardware error. and it stopped transferring. It stopped doing anything. So I thought, that's no good. I'll stop it there. I did, and I thought, okay, I'll have a look at see what did get put on, what didn't get put on, and I opened up the files on the external drive. I should say I tried to open up the files on the external drive, and what do I find? It freezes up. There has been an error. These files have been corrupted. I lost all of the videos that I had made previously, all of the videos that I put onto YouTube, which I wanted to store so I could go back and look at later, and all of the videos that I had recently taken for this episode of the Forge build. So episode 5. Usually what I'll do is I'll go in to the workshop, I'll make a whole bunch of videos, I go one after the other, I make all the videos, I put them all away, and then I'll make a intro and outro video so that I can whack the intro at the front, the outro at the end, and piece all the videos together. Well, all those videos that I had made on the way through up to this point are gone. So unfortunately, this video will be showing you what I have achieved rather than a bit-by-bit process of going through achieving it. I haven't put together the Forge hood yet, so I have not welded it together. So that bit will be a bit of a progress video, but everything I did up to that point, I'm afraid I have lost, as well as all the other videos I've made up until this point since I started my channel. So I got in contact with the eBay shop that I purchased this device off and voiced my complaint and said that I wanted a refund. They contacted me a day later and said, we're sorry to hear about your issues. Not in that language. I will actually find the actual wording that they used, and I'll show you, I'll read that out to you. This is the message from, hi Andrew, Andy, from YCY Top Shop 18. So that's their eBay shop, just in case you're thinking about buying one of these. Dear friend, I am so sorry for this happened. For this case, we suggest we can refund you partial money, and we don't suggest return it for you. We suggest refund 20 Australian dollars to relieve your worries. Now this item cost me $44.88 Australian dollars. They want to refund me 20 Australian dollars to relieve your worries. Okay, so we'll refund 20 Australian dollars to relieve your worries. Then can you keep this item? Well, I'm not surprised they want me to keep the item. They don't want it back because it's absolute rubbish. Do you agree? So, question mark. If you will not, for this solutions, you can come up with a better solutions. And I've got a better solutions. Then we can discuss together. Then we will find a better way to solve this case. Looking forward to your reply. Best regards. Well, I don't think they enjoyed my reply. I won't go into what I said to them because it's probably not fit for YouTube, but I did explain to them that not only is their device 100% useless, it actually caused damage to my computer and it deleted all of my files. None of the files that I copied and tried to put onto this device are now readable. Even the ones that are still on my computer are corrupted. So important files, not just YouTube files, but family videos, things that are not replaceable. And I explained this to them in my initial email. Gone, corrupted, useless. And they want to give me 20 bucks and tell me to keep the item. So effectively I told them that is not going to happen. Either they replace the entire $44.88, or I'll be starting an eBay dispute and I'll be letting you guys know exactly what sort of a customer service they have, what sort of products they have. And I'm waiting now to see if they will refund the entire money. I'll fill you in on this video as time goes on, and we'll see if they refund all my money. But either way, I want people to know Don't buy this. Not only will it not work, it will corrupt your computer. Okay, I'm going to leave it there now, and hopefully nobody else does what I did. I mentioned that I was going to be building the hood. I mentioned that first, but I'm not actually going to be doing that first. I'm going to be starting to put together the air intake pipework, because that is positioned in at the back of the forge table and alongside the hood. So I think it's easier if I construct that first and then put the hood in. Once it's built, I can just lift it into place and I don't have to worry about getting around the hood to get to the air piping. I'll also be attaching my controller, voltage controller, to the blower so that I can raise and lower or turn off the blower intensity whenever I feel like it without having to actually shut down the blower itself. So I'll be putting that in the video as well. Okay, well, after my rant about the external hard drive, I'll get back to the project. Well, I did video all this, but as I say, I've lost all that footage. So here we have the new air intake system that I'm using. I moved away from my initial idea of using the flexible aluminium ducting, as it's pretty well rubbish, and as you turn corners it creases inside the internal corners. It deforms really easy, it's flimsy, it's hard to connect onto another fitting of any sort. So I think it's pretty well rubbish. So I've moved to 90mm PVC stormwater drain, which fits into my existing fitting that I made perfectly. Instead of having to go onto the outside and strap it, it actually squeezes in and fits in there beautifully. Once this plate's pulled off, there's a little silicone bead all the way around the inside that I've put on to make sure that there's no air comes out. So everything from here is all the same as it was previously. Pipe then runs down this way. Ignore this little wire bracket, sorry, this little wire makeshift bracket. It's temporary, holding it there while I got everything into place and did all my measurements, and I'm going to make a decent metal strap for that. So we turn the corner here, goes up into this device up here. Now this is an interesting little design, I think, that I haven't seen anybody use before. This is actually designed as a water diverter. So if you imagine that's coming off your roofing line, so off your guttering, this piece that goes down here goes into your stormwater outlet, and this piece here you can run a pipe off into your veggie patch. And if you don't want the water into your veggie patch, you click it over to the right like that, little X on here, that stops the water going that way and it will go down into your stormwater outlet. But if you decide that you need some water in your garden for a while, you turn it there with the X down there, that blocks off this and the water goes out this way. So I'm using it for my air intake, and what it means is that I can, when I'm starting my forge, I can leave this closed and have this open, and the air that comes down from my blower will be diverted out this way. This pipe here comes down the back, runs over, and then comes back up through the bottom of the table and back up in here. This is where my forge hood will be. So effectively that's blowing air from my blower down through there, up into here, and directed up my flue. Now what that means is when you're starting to light your fire, instead of not being drawn into your flue because it needs a bit of heat in there to get a bit of draft, to get a bit of suction, the smoke generally will billow around the place unless you've got a method to catch that heat and force it into your flue. It's really going to smoke you out a lot before you build up heat into your flue so that it can actually suck the air up. Whereas with this here, blowing air up, it's creating a draw through your flue. So that air being pushed up through there will help to suck the smoke up through your flue before it gets hot. And of course, you don't have to have it on all the way. That's with the X fully down. Doing that, all of the air will be going down here, out through there, and up out of your fire pot. If you choose to, which is probably what you would do, you can put it halfway, or 3/4 of the way, or 1/4 of the way, whichever you fancy. So 50% air going down there and out of your fire pot, 50% of the air coming out here and up your flue. You're getting draw up your flue, you're getting air into your fire pot, and that will encourage that smoke to go up into the flue. And of course, as it gets hotter and hotter in your flue and you don't need this air coming through, oops, you can shut it off to your flue. You've already got good draw coming out. All the air's coming into here. But rather than always having to control the airflow with your blower itself, you can control your air from here. So I can say I want less air coming out of my fire pot. I can just reduce the airflow like that and it will be going up my flue. So you're still having all the air coming through. It's just more of it's going up your flue and less of it into the fire pot. So your fire won't burn as hard, but it's still drawing well. So I think that's a really interesting design that I haven't seen anybody else use before. But of course, I'm going to have to build my hood first and then connect my flue up the top there. As I said, I lost all the footage of cutting all this stuff out, doing the design, but here we have the right hand side of my hood. This section here is the lip that comes over the fire pot and the front face of the flue. Obviously this is the right hand side of the hood. There's the sloping back with the shelf, and then the top smoke compartment. That's just the front. That is the top of the back. And I know the light is not very helpful here, so I'm hoping you will be able to see what I'm talking about here. It's on its side, but this is the left hand side of the hood, as is that the right hand side. So this is the face, fire pot here, opening for the smoke to go into. So this is the front bottom. This is the lip that comes out over the fire pot, which itself has a little lip on it to discourage smoke from coming back down and out the face. So the sloping back and the internal smoke shelf with the little lip on that, so that when the smoke comes up here, forced around here, turns around that way, if it doesn't want to go up the flue and it decides it wants to come back down, it hits this ledge with the lip on it and is encouraged to turn back up. So now, rather than welding all the way along all of the seams, I am going to use some 20 by 20 angle iron, cut that into strips, and I will be putting a piece of angle iron on the inside, welding in multiple spot welds along. So instead of welding all the way along that seam to seal it up, I'll put a piece of angle iron in there, which has a very good tight fit because it's nice clean material, and then I'll be spot welding along there, save a lot of time. I shall try and film a bit of that during the whole process, and hopefully it doesn't get corrupted and doesn't vanish into the ether. Righto, here we are. I've got the angle iron cut for this right hand side. Ignore the piece there laying across it. That's my offcut that I can use to gauge how far away from the edge that I need to weld it. So, situation being, I've cut my pieces and I use this piece to drop in there. Make sure I've got it nice and flush along the edge there, and then I can tack, tack, tack. This one here has to go in behind there, like so. Get it in there, pull that in, get it flush. I'm only doing this one hand, so it's difficult. And tack the edges. That allows me to be able to get these perfectly right, in the right place, so that my edges all meet up on the flush with the edge. Here we are, as described earlier. I have welded on the angle onto the side plate. So that's just a view of what it looks like. As you can see, I have left a gap between here and here, and a gap between here and here, because that is where that plate runs through there. I've got a bit of cleanup to do just to get a little bit of this spatter off so that the sheets slide in properly, but other than that, I think it's turned out pretty well. One side done. I made the angle for the other side before I went and welded these on, so I had some templates to work with, and from this side it's going to look really good. Left enough gap all the way around so that the other sheets can run along that edge and be flush. Righto, it's update time for the coal forge. As you can see, I have the basic hood constructed. I haven't gone through the process of recording all of the welding up of the pieces. I showed the pieces, that the two side pieces there I'd attached the angle iron to create two sides with attachment points on them. I laid one side down, stood the plates in there, tacked them on, and then positioned the next side, the second side, on, maneuvered it into place, put a bunch of long Irwin clamps on, pulled them into place, got it all into place, tack welded those, pulled all the clamps off, flipped it up, and welded all of the insides. You'll probably see some grinding on here. This is where, when I had welded the insides of one side, put it on its side, and I'm trying to get the pieces in. Once I got the side in, it was far easier to just stick a couple of tack welds on the outside along here to hold it into place so that I could flip it over and weld up the inside, because with all those clamps on it, you really couldn't maneuver it around without knocking the clamps off. So I stuck some tack welds on the outside, then I took all the clamps off, flipped it over, and did the welding from the inside, and I've just ground off those tack welds on this side so that they're not quite so obvious. So I'll pull this down, show you a bit inside. Righto, here is a better view of what I've done on the inside. So as you can see, all of the angle iron has been fully tack weld all the way around. Got a couple on the bottom here. That's so if I decide to, I can actually drill a couple of holes through here and tech screw it to the base. Don't think I'm going to need to, but they're there just in case I decide I do. So you can see the two, what do I call them? You can see the two shelves with the lips on them. That's where the air comes in, out here, rotates. You know what? I put that in upside down. That is really, really bad. I have done that wrong. That really, really annoys me. I've put that in upside down. That lip is supposed to come up this way, not down that way. That has really annoyed me. That's going to actually hinder the whole process. I'm going to have to cut that out and re-weld it on in the right place. Okay, well, I'll fix that. Anyway, that's what we've got. The inside, all welded up, even if it is wrong. So there you go. We all make mistakes. I certainly do. And I can fix this one. I'm glad I noticed it now, because that wouldn't do the job that I was expecting it to do. Actually, it would hinder the smoke from going up the chimney rather than hinder it from coming out of the chimney. So I'll fix that and do an update once I've done that. Here we are again after my slight mishap there. I have now corrected the problem. I ground off or cut through the welds that I'd put on here, got my angle grinder with the thicker disc on it and ground out a V in here, grabbed my trusty Irwin clamps, clamped them onto there, which was down there of course, tightened them up and then bent them back up again. So we're back to where I thought we were in the first place. I've now got that back in place and I can show you what it looks like from here. So fire pot, opening. So that's what she's looking like at the moment. I've got to put a lid on it and then a circle. I've got an idea for making the circle that the flue attaches to. Some people might say it's weird, and it probably is a bit, but I tend to use different ideas at times, think outside the box as they say, and yeah, we'll see how that turns out. I've been busy on another idea. I decided that I would make up a sheet metal coal chute, coal, coke, whatever I can get my hands on really, charcoal at times. Now I didn't have enough sheet metal, so as you can see I've had to use a piece of steel plate there, which looks out of place but will never be seen in the position that it is going. So this is the bottom of it with the main compartment that the coal will live in, and the little chute that the coal will be slipping out of. I shall whack it into place and show you what I have in mind. Now I've got it in place. It just tucks in beside this side of the hood, so up against there, and it has a little tab down here that squeezes it in between there. Sorry about the fast camera movement. Squeezes it in there between there and there. That's the chute that the coal will come out of. I can come in here with my shovel. I'm going to make a little coal shovel, pull it out of there. I'm actually considering cutting this out here and making a bigger opening, but I'll wait and see with that because I'm not sure how much coal will come out. I don't want the coal spilling out here. I'm going to make a funnel type affair that gives me room up there to be able to pour a bag of coal in. So I'll just come in the side here, jump up, stand up here, pour some coal in the top. That'll fill that whole chute up and that whole box up there. And I might even have some sort of a little sliding door on here that stops it coming out. Lift the door up, some will spill out, and I can scoop her up and put it in to the fire pot. Also gives me a little shelf up there that I reckon I'll quite rapidly use for something. I might even end up riveting some sort of hanging hanging hooks and things I can put on that part of it, so they're nice and handy. So that might come in useful in more ways than just being a coal chute. So I shall get to designing, well, fabricating the roof, and the method that I'm going to use to attach my flue. You'll probably find that a bit weird, but as I said before, a bit of thinking outside the box and getting second-hand goods very, very cheap, in this case given away, and you can save a lot of money and get things done. As I mentioned earlier on, I'm now on to the stage of doing the roof of my hood. So this is the sheet of metal that I shall be using to make the roof out of. Out of that will come my flue. So that's what I've got. The material that I've got is my flue. This is the 45-degree elbow that I shall be using to turn the flue out of the wall. I'll then have a piece extending out of that. Then I've got another 45-degree elbow that will straighten it back up once it gets out of the wall. That's all well and good, but you've got to have some way of joining the two together. Now, you can't just cut a hole, push that through. Smoke's going to come out of it everywhere. It's going to, just, I don't do things that way. As much as I could push it through and then bend, crimp it over and all that sort of stuff so it didn't come back out about. Again, I want to be able to do maintenance and repair on it in the future, or replace it in the future if I need to, so that was never going to be an option. So I'll get rid of that for now. And I came across a friend who offered me this. I believe it's been squashed a little bit one way that way and is warped. So when on the vehicle, goes like that, vibrates the hell out of the car, useless on a vehicle. I've marked it there, which will give me roughly 35 to 40 mil of material here. The flue itself should go on the outside of this and bunt up against there. So that will sit like that. I can weld it round here. It sits beautifully flush, so I don't have to do a full weld all the way around. I'll just grind it nice and clean, do some tacks around there. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and sealed. And then I drop this down and over the remaining collar. It's so close that it may work if I start grinding some of this shabby stuff off here and thin this out a bit. It might go in. I think we're getting a success. Success! Happy chappy. Now, all I got to do is make sure I weld it on with the right orientation. Beautiful. There we go. All the way in, right down to the bottom of the rim. Very happy.
Very happy indeed. So now I just cut that out with the plasma cutter, weld the whole plate on. Bob's your uncle.
Okay, so I've got the trimmed down wonky car wheel cut into shape, the 45-degree angle flue pipe inserted. I've got the lid, the top of the forge hood welded on, and I've got the rim welded on. So it is now ready to be lifted up onto the table, put into place. Now this thing is not light. I'm going to try and get it up there without doing my back in on my own. Wish me luck. Oh well, I'll put that on later. Ta-da! Okay guys, well, I know at the start of this video I said I was going to have the hood made and the collar welded on and the flue installed and the air intake all set up and everything. But as I put at the front of this video a product and service review of the storage device that I talked about, that took up a fair bit of time. And also it takes a lot longer to do these jobs than what I had anticipated. And to save having a massively long video that everybody gets bored with and turns off before the end, my videos are long enough as it is. I've decided I would split this into 2 videos. So I'm going to end it here, and my next video will include the installation of the flue, the setup of the blower house, the connection of all of the voltage regulator and piping systems, and a final firing up of the forge. So thanks very much for watching this long episode, and I hope you can catch up with me on the next episode. Thanks for watching Forge Right. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends to have a look at the channel, and I'll catch you next time.